And welcome back for the semi-final round here in the men's division. Dodgeball Toronto's Kickoff 2024 tournament. We are back, Terry Thrasher and Michael Laziak, one more time.
Thanks for having me back, Terry.
We got Hard as Foam and Future, two teams from out west relative to us.
This is going to be a great matchup. Hard as Foam has picked up Nick Grenier from New Era from Winnipeg. This guy is a world champion from last year. I think he was a starter on that team as well. He's a starting left winger for the Canadian mixed team. So he's going to give them some firepower as if they didn't have enough already.
Yeah, there are no slouches on this Hard as Foam team as it is. A lot of big arms, a lot of great, sensible play. We've got a bunch of Team Canada experience now. Valence Wong, for example, having been on the men's side. Solberg trying his hand in cloth.
As well as Burke, I
Burke,
believe.
yeah, I believe that's right, in cloth again this year.
And as Sam Coe is, I think he's on
I think the mixed
Canadian
team.
I believe, yeah, mixed, I think you're right.
It runs together after a while sometimes. And so I wonder if, do they not have Vinish in this tournament?
No Vinish and no Von Steb. But Decker is here.
Yep.
As well as someone I don't recognize.
We'll figure that out.
Yeah. But you've got your leadership tandem in Byron Wog and Chris Valence, both unbelievable players from BC, both Canadian men's bronze medalists from this past Worlds. Both back on the men's team this year, expecting big things from them.
Yeah, and Hard as Foam, so far in the men's division at Nationals, the closest any non-Ontario team has come to taking the gold. They lost to, well, you know, Rampage.
Right.
And now we'll see how Future does, because Future very familiar with Hard as Foam.
These guys have played each other many times, and what keeps me awake at night is that I've never seen Hard as Foam play New Era, and I'm dying to see that match. Maybe it's happened and I've missed it, but I reflect on how many times I've seen Future and Hard as Foam play, and it's something I'm dying to see.
Yeah, sometimes it's just how the brackets work out or the pools. Like, you just notice, like, oh yeah, I have never seen these two teams play.
We're seeing Cody Dan Foley back in action for Future. He was sat during the last Future game we looked at. Not sure why, but it's good to see him back in action.
Yep. Maybe they felt like they'd be okay without him. Maybe he's hurt. Who knows? But it is nice to see him on the court. Of course, Team USA player for quite a few years before moving up north.
That's right. Won a number of gold medals with Team USA, with Ketchum and Kreider and the perpetual champions.
Yeah. I think Foley was the MVP too in 2017 Worlds. Even though the team was knocked out in that amazing match with Canada in the semis, Foley was a standout player that year.
Yeah, he had a phenomenal year that year. Yeah, played great against Australia, played great against Canada. Yeah, he was in for a marathon that year, and tough guy to play against, but he definitely he earned it.
Now Grenier, who's rocking that Burke jersey, does head out to the side after being unable to block an incoming shot. Future doing well to pop up and attack, but Coe is good at getting low.
Coe gets low. Sam Coe, great dodger. Yeah, explosive player, great team guy, fast off the rush. Great guy to have on your side of the court.
And you notice we keep mentioning these players that are great to have on the team. Like, a lot of it is that teamwork, that leadership. It's not just the athletic toolkit.
That's right, and not always the game breakers. Sometimes you don't need another, big arm on your team. Sometimes what you need is a team guy to round it out, to do the little things well, to cover, to run the rush. Not everyone needs to be a big thrower.
Yeah, everybody needs to have a capable arm, but exactly, there are other things that need doing on the court. Sometimes it's just communication. Sometimes it is, like you said, the rush, super important part of the game these days. And they're faking a bit, mixing up the timing again. So 2 rounds of fakes before Valence delivers. I know Decker had told me just how much Hard as Foam practices. And they put in a lot of time. They really keep pushing themselves to be better. I know there are a lot of teams these days that are practicing, but that work ethic still matters quite a bit.
It does. Yeah, a lot of teams practice, but you can tell Hardest Foam practices the right way. These guys are pushing each other. They're working on their weaknesses. They're improving their strengths. They've got that deliberate practice that champions are made of.
Yeah, and I think it might be, nice block in the air. It might be hard sometimes for Hardest Foam because my understanding is that in terms of 7-inch foam, there's nobody else in BC who's anywhere near their level, and so they do have to sometimes get that experience like this. Come out to these tournaments and take some shots from Future.
It's funny, you see 6, 7 times back and forth, no hits, and then you get 3 or 4 hits in a matter of 5 seconds. It's feast or famine sometimes in dodgeball.
Yeah, I do think there are a lot of players, if they're confident throwers and they think that they've got that momentum, they just saw their teammate get a hit, they will take that shot too. And I just think sometimes that confidence might be the difference.
Yeah. The court opens up a little bit more. The balls are moving around. It's no longer one ball each direction. It's exciting to see. But to your point, yeah, 7-inch, not the dominant style out in BC. They love the 8.25 foam.
Yeah, you've gone out there for their Tournament of Champions, I think, at least a few times.
Yeah, lots of fun. And these guys, they're no slacks. There's so many strong players out there.
Chiam, sorry, I'm just interjecting because Chiam, he lunged for a ball there. Now he's hopping.
Uh-oh, you hate to see that. They don't want to lose a talented guy like Chiam at this point.
I'm just worried he was definitely keeping weight off the one foot or ankle. So hopefully, again, a cramping situation and not something more serious.
Hopefully not. You can see how much power Valence respects when he's got that ball in a cocked position. He's got the big pump fake at the line, and you can see when Future's pushing up, they're giving Chris room. They know he's got a big release. They know he's got a hard throw with curves. He's not a guy you want to take lightly.
Yeah, and he is smart about taking the shots. I love that he might release it if he sees a really good opening or if he just needs to add in some of the aggression from time to time. But he's very patient. He picks his moments well. Ooh, that ball coming close.
Possibly catchable, but these things happen so fast, especially when you're on court.
And if you're looking ahead, it is hard in your peripheral sometimes to see that ball popping up off a teammate from the other side.
That's right, unless you have someone right in your ear telling you, hey, up.
Even then, sometimes you just look up and like, where up?
Where up, yeah.
Decker taken out. Future looking to extend this lead a little bit. Ooh. They get 2 outs, though, in quick succession.
There's that Future momentum again. They get one, and then they follow it up right away with another one. Mike Koo looking fresh in what looked like some new Asics. Those look like badminton, maybe tennis shoes. Yeah. I'm going to guess those have some pretty good traction.
The footwear, not a standardized thing in dodgeball.
No, very very subjective.
I think you might have been one of the players to turn me on to the idea of wrestling shoes, actually, which is still my shoe of choice for dodgeball.
Yeah, that's a special kind of shoe for sure. How do you find them?
For me, it's okay. Even though I'm a jumpy player and there's no padding in wrestling shoes, I think if you're comfortable jumping, it works well. They're very light, very grippy, which is, I think, also what like the court shoes or badminton shoes that possibly are on Mike Koo. That grip, super important in dodgeball.
It's so important. You get all your momentum from the ground, and if you don't have good contact with the ground, you're not going to be able to feed that momentum up the chain, through your legs, into your hips, and through your arm.
Whereas I know a lot of players like basketball shoes for dodgeball. A little more padding and support, high in the ankles sometimes.
You still see wrestling shoes. Kyle Waddingham, a great player who still uses wrestling shoes, and he wears them well. He's able to, have good ankle support. He's got a great ground game. He's able to roll around in them.
Yeah, very specialized use for them. I've never done competitive wrestling or any sort of wrestling, really. Okay, good try from Ko, but Future able to close that out. Still 3 strong. And Chiam was back out there, so whatever caused him to hop off, looks like he's okay. Maybe just a cramp, just like with Xander Simos before.
That's good to see. Future, both games, ending both games with 3 or more players. Well, with exactly 3 players. they're so good at the grind. There hits a point in dodgeball where you have 3 players left on court, and you always have the ability to hold on to 3 balls, 1 ball per person. And if you're a good team that uses ball control well, it's so hard to get those last 1, 2, and 3 kills when you know they have a ball at all times.
Yeah, and actually playing patient can be really hard for some people. I think especially if you know you have a good throw and you're confident in it, then actually sitting back when that's the right thing to do can be really tough. But so far we've seen Future able to show tremendous patience. But even there, they did go just 1-1-1 on the throws. And they did end up getting Grenier. And now we're at the sudden death. So I think that's why they launched them like that, because we are going into no blocking. Because otherwise we don't really see them do solo, followed by solo on a different target, followed by solo on a different target. I think the coordination's been really good from them. The timing mix-ups have been good from them. Foley with some of those great fakes. Oh, and a great grab off Foley's throw, too.
That's going to bring Nick Grenier back into the game. A big arm for Hardest Foam.
Decker holding down that left corner now for Hardest Foam. They've got that player edge. Looking for that first point. They get a hit, that'll help.
Decker, one of the Canadian athletes in the past, in the Houston tournament in recent memory.
Yeah, he's been getting some extra dodgeball experience. Nice big shot there.
Big hit by Cody Burke.
Yeah, great connection. So Hardest Foam in position to try and capture their first point of this match. And they do. 2 shots coming in and connecting.
So Cody Burke played for the Canadian men's cloth team this past year. And as I understand it, he was one of the strongest players on that team. The games I watched seemed like he was their primary thrower, making big hits, maybe something to do with being used to throwing big balls from his home turf in BC. But yeah, give him credit to adapt to those cloth balls that fast, to be able to be such a powerhouse player.
Yeah, it's one of the interesting things we end up talking about with the difference between the foam and the cloth game. Like, just getting used to throwing the different ball. Whichever one you come from, going to the other, it is different. And I know when I tried cloth, I had a really hard time figuring out even how to hold the ball. If I tried to sell a pump fake all the way, I just couldn't hang on to it until I really figured out a grip that worked for me. And I think conversely, if you go the other way, I know a lot of cloth players say that they find how light the foam ball is really hurts their arms when they throw it. Just, you know, it's a different throw, and until you adapt your throw, you might find that, I don't know, it strains the wrong part of your arm compared to what you're used to.
Interesting. Yeah, it's such a different dynamic. Yeah, a big adjustment.
Bader gets through in his rival Captain Valance.
I'm giving the opening rush advantage to Hardest Foam in this match. They seem to be a little bit faster, and Cody Burke is connecting with a nice quick release throw.
Yeah, it's one thing to get the ball at the line. Ooh, speaking of Burke, he's hit out. It's another if you're the person receiving that ball for the possible throw to get it sort of cocked and into an attacking position as quickly as you can, and then actually having an accurate throw out of that quick motion. It's not as easy as it might look.
It's a hard thing to do. Shane Solberg getting out of the way of that one. Great catcher. He's another cloth guy. Yeah, used his hands well. Like, he's a guy who can make 1, 2 catches in the same game, and he's a tough guy to hit.
Yeah, his defensive skills are so good. We've seen a lot of the Hardest Foam team playing together really well. Solberg, a big part of that. We've seen him make some clutch catches at past national tournaments too.
That's right.
Well-rounded player.
Well-rounded. Yeah, he's got a nice little movement on his throw too.
Okay, they get Wong.
I think that was Grenier with the hit.
Chang in the middle. Koo and Foley still out there for Future. I think Foley's saying my ball hit so-and-so. Something like that.
Another 3-on-3 game.
Well, it was.
It was. We're seeing Future. They're so good at this. Yeah. Now they're up in players, so they do have to give up that third ball, leaving Alex without a ball. But you can tell they're so good at these grindy games where you're not able to use your teammates because you just don't have enough balls.
Yeah, it's kind of the contrast. Ooh, big step up and throw. The contrast from what we were saying about teams like Elite DC being high energy teams and thriving in those situations, we're seeing that Future's doing a great job at grinding these points out when that's what it calls for. That ball popping up and out of the way. And I think Hard as Foam is going to drop that point. Future just doing such a good job at connecting.
They're so good when the players get low. I mean, how do you play against it? You know, if they want to keep playing the slow game, one ball back and forth, but if you push up too much, they're not afraid to push back and to cause that kind of chaos in the middle.
Yeah, exactly. It's not that they're giving away the space for free. You still know that they are threatening you. I think controlling that space in front of you is one of those things that can be hard to learn in a competitive environment, but the idea of where the threats can effectively come from on the other team and managing those threats, as you get familiar with playing competitively, you learn how to put pressure and to take away some of the options from the other side. Ooh, good honesty from Chang again.
Yeah, looked like a clean block, but you love to see it.
Burke steps into that one, but Future still has 4 players out there. And they come close, but they're splitting the difference.
Byron Wong electing to concede the wing to Nick Grenier. Put him where he's comfortable. Wong is so versatile of a player, as we see Kalen get one in the face. Unfazed.
He's doing ball retrieval duty and pays for it.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's a double. Good bounce if you are Hard as Foam. Able to snare that ball away from the ball retriever, Kenley Croft, on the other side, too. Balance aware in that moment. It's a little thing, but it matters.
It does matter.
Okay, but this time Hard as Foam giving up all but 2. They wait for a ball to come in. And they had to take maybe not the shot they were hoping for, just because that 10-second count was getting low. Hard as Foam just fakes, sets up, goes cross court, finds the hit. Lilac is going to head off. Okay, so maybe they're finding their groove a little bit now.
Still 6 guys on for Hard as Foam.
Yeah, and it's just, they are finally connecting on more of those throws than Future is. Before it was Future just with the hot target selection and hitting. Jim now is going to have the work to do. Oh, starts it off nicely. You can see Grenier kind of froze up as that ball came in.
Yeah, it was a great head fake. I didn't think he was going there. Obviously, Nick didn't either.
Yeah. Yeah, he's aware enough that if he knew that ball was coming, I think his dodge would have looked a little different. Well-placed ball and well sold on the fake. Okay, and that second ball securing the point. Hard as Foam only down by 1 now.
We're seeing Hard as Foam not afraid to give up 2 balls, not afraid to go down to their last ball.
Esterbrook's letting us know just how good that shot felt.
Yeah, they've got so many strong defensive players in Hard as Foam. They're not afraid to go down to their last ball, which allows them a little more freedom in how many they throw.
Going off the rush, that's a good start for Future. They take out 3 after that scramble from Hard as Foam.
You always have to be careful with Future, with these chaos moments. They're so good at covering each other. They're so good at making you pay for little mistakes.
And we were saying they're so good at the grind, too. I think their game is really multifaceted in this tournament. Maybe that's the coaching helping out. This is Ravi and Berkeley doing good work. And obviously big credit to all the players who have just been executing so well in the matches we've been able to see. Future looking very strong. Obviously they're in the semifinals in a loaded men's division. And they're currently in the lead and threatening to go to the finals.
Hard as Foam targeting Bader early. They know how much damage he can do. They don't want to give him the freedom to do it.
Yeah, and showing some good resilience. They're down to 2, but they have brought Future down to 3. Which is not too bad a deficit. They get another hit. Daniel Lilac off to the side, so it's a 2-on-2 now, that ball. So good pressure from Hard as Foam. Just, you might be able to get that ball, but you might pay for it too.
Yeah.
Balls collide. And they get a hit, so now just Koo alone, and Hard as Foam eager to tie this up. Okay, good staggered timing there. Ku playing fearless. And coming close on Ko. I think the refs are talking about maybe whether the ball on Ko connected. I'm not sure what they're talking about, but it's Blanchet and Biron doing ref duties. They're calling in some help from the backline judge on the future side.
We've seen a few opportunities this game where one team has been down to their last ball. Money ball, as some players call it. We've seen a bit of a shift. I remember 5 years ago, the idea was just give it to someone to protect themselves. And the offensive thing was like, yeah, don't ever throw at the person with the ball because there's 5 players who don't have a ball that you can hit. And then since then, the meta's kind of changed, you know, and then people started, hey, they don't throw at the last ball. Let's always throw the last ball and take someone down with you. And then since then, it's become, from what I see, it's like, let's always throw at whoever has the last ball because we don't want them to counter us. So it seems like it's come full circle.
Yeah, I mean, there's the way of thinking that they only have one ball, so that's the only ball they can play defense with. Let's make sure that ball is suppressed. And like you said, I think Cancun was the first time I'd really seen a lot of players, especially the women on Team Canada were really fond of it, and Josh Sakura on Team Canada's men's side. Lisa Mora is the player I remember doing this the most on the women's side too. Oh, there, hardest foam, clutching it out and tying things up. But like you were saying, that last ball, it's like we have it. The other team's going to come up knowing that they have an almost uncontested moment to throw at us. Let's try and take somebody out. I think that's one of the interesting parts of dodgeball that shifts over time. It feels subtle, but what you feel like you can do with one ball influences whether you're willing to go down to one ball, and that might open up more things that you might want to do on defense.
Exactly. Kind of interesting how the meta has shifted around that.
And I think sometimes just knowing that those consequences of whatever you do take like a couple of exchanges sometimes to really happen. Yeah. Oh, there's a nice bounce for future. But that can be hard. If you don't watch video and you don't make an effort to connect, like how does our team play when we're down on possession or something like that, it can be hard to make the choices. Another team catch, although
the timing was very close.
And Valence, I think, might have hit the back line regardless. Okay. But see, you can see the appreciation shown, because I think Valence knows that Solberg almost bailed him out there.
Teammates looking out for each other. I thought the catch was not quite in time, but it looked so close.
It's one of the hardest things when I'm reffing to try and keep track of is the timing on those things.
Yeah.
So I appreciate everyone who's doing the reffing work in this tournament.
It's a hard job.
Decker steps into one from afar. Okay, they get a hit onto Bader. And more talking, but I think that point ends up being Futures.
Yeah, to your point, like you said, that's something as a team you have to kind of know, hey, what are we doing with our last ball? Are we going to go offense all the time with it? You have to have kind of a strategy going into it.
And so there's only 3 seconds left in the clock. I think that means we're going into no blocking, although the clock is actually frozen. I'm not sure why it stopped. But the refs are saying, let's keep moving. So if we are going into no blocking, it's a situation we've seen already in the playoffs. Hardest foam, if they can secure this point, they're going to force the tie, force some extra play. Whereas if Future can secure this, then they win. That's all it takes.
I got to say, Terry, I've got to give advantage to hardest foam on this one. Future is so good at grinding, but you cannot grind as well in no blocking.
It's so much harder to grind in no blocking. Once you take away like hanging back and blocking as a tool, defense just gets so much harder. And there we see hardest foam fired up after they get a double, and that's 3 players out on the Future side. So that is a great start for hardest foam.
They've got so many offensively talented guys on hardest foam. You've got to think this is the moment they've been waiting for.
Yeah, and I do agree. I think their skill set lends itself a bit better to these no blocking moments. Future's so good in general dodgeball play. I don't know what I call that fake, when it's just like your wrist is just bending and flopping a little bit. Nobody really believes that that means you're going to throw one.
I believe Manjeet Ram used to refer to it as the snake charmer.
Not bad. I like it. That ball popping out of play. Landing in the stands. We're going to return it. Hard as foam, though, is going to look to try and close things out. Decker worried about an incoming shot. Drops his, looks for the catch. It doesn't come in, though. And Future not out of it. Koo and Foley. Team Canada alums out there. They get a hit onto Decker, who was looking catch. He's a little frustrated, but, you know, that's just because it was a catchable ball and he couldn't quite squeeze it. Grenier stepping right into that one, and that was no blocking. Foley is out, and okay, Hard as Foam ties it up on the hit on Koo, who's now hopping a little awkwardly too. Okay, tied up.
Tied up.
Extra period, 4 minutes of regular style dodgeball, which again, I think might debatably favor Future a little bit more.
Now that it's back to being able to block, yeah, Future is going to be a grindy team. I like what I saw from Hard as Foam last game. At this point, with the momentum from that last one, I got to give the advantage to Hard as Foam. But if I'm Future, I think the key is, hey, let's get back to the way we've played the last 20 minutes of this game, not the 2 minutes after that.
Exactly. They were the slightly better team for so much of the match. They just have to keep that mindset and keep executing that way. And they will advance to the finals, but Hard as Foam making it so that this extra point is necessary. There will be 4 minutes on the clock, regular dodgeball, and if somehow we end up that 4 minutes going by without a winner, it's going to move back to no blocking until we get somebody advancing to the finals. Off the rush, it's a little bit messy, but Hard as Foam loses a player.
They're losing Byron Wong. That's a tough loss, but I wouldn't be shocked to see Byron come back into this game.
Because he's a cheater? No, just because of the catching, just because of the catching, to be clear. But Future doing a great job off the rush. They've had good, solid rush play at a bunch of moments here. Grenier evades that shot. And both teams maybe being a little cautious now. They don't want to give it away on something stupid. That one skips in a bit short. I always find it's hard to dodge when everybody's still on the court like that. Sometimes you don't have as much room as you'd like.
Yeah. You really have to work with what your teammates are going. You don't want to go the same direction as your teammates. And that's when I think experience comes into play, you know. You try to give each other more room. You try to read the play, see where the throw's going, and see where which teammates need more room to dodge.
And we're seeing Hard as Foam now do that thing where they keep 3 balls on defense. And even though it's no blocking, having balls on defense does matter.
That's right.
And Chang checking in with the ref, whether it bounced. I thought it sounded like it might have bounced.
I thought it bounced as well. Let's see what the refs say. They are closer than us.
It is hard in some of those moments. But I think you want to go off the sound sometimes if you can't tell by the visual. And I do think they agree, so they're going to set up the play on the back line. Still got about 2.5 minutes to go in this extra period once we get rolling again. Once we get rolling again. All right, we're back. Hard as Foam coming close, but skipping that ball just a bit short. Now Future's going to get to counter. They are setting up. Just one ball going to be thrown. It's Koo this time.
Great split leg dodge coming from Grenier.
Oh, and there's an aggressive shot. I think a whistle might have gone before it connected, though.
That's what it looked like to me. I don't know why the whistle went.
Timeout called or something else that the refs saw. They're talking again. Let's see if we can divine what's going on. I just see a signal saying no outs, basically, from Biral. So I don't actually know what the potential call was. They send a ball back over to Future.
Okay. Maybe they were wondering if Nick got clipped with the ball, which we had a good angle on. He definitely didn't, but the play was stopped, so.
And it is eating up some of the time that means regular dodgeball, which, again, I think if it gets to no blocking, I'm thinking that is a little bit hardest foam favorite if the player count is even at that point.
I agree with you.
So if I'm future, I want to try and make these opportunities count. I mean, it sounds obvious, but hit the people you're throwing at if you can.
Yeah. But it's one of those things. Sometimes you have to try harder than others. Sometimes, if you have time, sometimes you can aim a little bit outside their body. Sometimes you don't have that luxury, and you got to go center mass and hope they don't catch it.
Yeah, and hardest foam hoping to close this out regular time, perhaps. And Burke is down. We've had a few of these late in the tournament of players going down. Could be cramps. Again, a lot of exertion for a long time, and even if you do hydrate and eat your bananas and everything else, sometimes it happens anyway.
Dodgeball is a deceiving amount of work.
Yeah.
You're jumping as high as you can. You're running as fast as you can. You're doing about 1,000 body weight squats in one day, as low as you can. It takes its toll on you at the end of a long day.
And even in rec league, my heart rate, according to my watch, goes higher than anything else I'm doing. It's been like 188 this year in just league play. And I don't think there's anything else I do where it gets pushed that hard.
That's funny. It is deceivingly hard. I don't know if you've brought out people who don't play dodgeball to dodgeball.
Oh, yeah.
And the next day they say, I've never been so sore in my life.
Yeah. My first season, I was like, I can't shampoo my hair when I still had that hair. Oh, some great shots. Hardest foam closes it out.
There you have it.
Once they found the momentum, they just really asserted themselves in this match. Future had been looking like the better team for a healthy chunk of it, but they couldn't actually pull away on the scoreboard. And Hardest Foam hanging in there until they could catch up, catch fire, and move on. And this match was so good that I have no idea who they'll be facing in the finals. I'm not sure if you know.
I don't. It looks like it was a 4-1 score between Mavericks and...
I've been told it's Shred who made it through. Okay. So we still don't know. Can anyone stop Shred, apparently?
Let's find out.
We'll have to find out in the finals. And so we will be back for those finals in a few minutes. It will, of course, be the last match of the night. And that will be it when we get there. But until that match, this is Terry Thrasher signing off for another one from Mike Laziak and Dodgeball Toronto's Kickoff 2024 tournament. That was a fun one. I legit thought Future had it.